Um, when you went to the scene, and is there anything that you learned about chaplaincy that day that you can pass along to other chaplains? I mean, that is the ultimate, I guess, situation where a chaplain is just so necessary.
I guess I don't know that I really learned anything, but what I had learned was played out in this situation, and that is the fact that the number one thing that you can do is just be there to be a support. I think that sometimes you have to take practical measures. As an example, one of the cops that was on the scene was one of our peer support people, and he was used to dealing with other cops, but he was one of the first ones on the scene. And so I spent some time talking with him, and after talking with him, he and I agreed that it would be a good idea if he took the rest of the day off rather than trying to continue working, which was his goal. So it's kind of like even the people who are trained to help other people, at times they need to help themselves. And that was one of the situations. We had another guy who was a SWAT guy that was one of the first ones on the scene, and he felt like he had to do something. That was basically the feeling. Everybody wanted to do something. And most of our officers busied themselves in trying to find the perpetrator. But this one SWAT officer, they had talked about giving him the rest of the day off, and obviously, as you can guess, he was kind of traumatized by it, but he wanted to do something. So what we did is we put him with SWAT, who was following up on leads, and he was able to work with the SWAT team and feel like he was still staying engaged without having to be maybe left on his own to try and deal with his stuff. So you kind of just got to look at each person, each situation, and try and assess them, what their status is, and what you can do to best serve them at that particular point.
Was there any short-term or long-term fallout from the having a department that was police officers were targeted just for being police officers?
I think there's ongoing fallout from it. As a matter of fact, we did do a debrief on the anniversary of the incident, simply because we feel like people are still dealing with the issue. And I've seen maybe tempers a little bit short, people are hyper vigilant, hyper alert, maybe other things that you can see. They're all basically indications of, well, what the military would call combat operational stress. And actually Bridget Cantrell, who's a psychologist, and I have done some training on post-traumatic stress, and we actually have coined a phrase called combat or law enforcement operational stress. And I think that it mirrors that of combat operational stress for the military. And when you're in some kind of a situation like this, you're not going to walk away from it without it affecting you. And so there are going to be long-term repercussions from it, which are things such as sleep and anger and other issues.